Look, I know that you want something different, and because I assume that's why you're here. But even with the volatility and recessions, the job market was a bit more straightforward years ago. However, the landscape has changed, and it is continuing to change, and not necessarily for the better, depending on who you ask. The recent jobs reports are dismal, and the revisions are even more so. And we've got people job hugging for dear life. Meanwhile, every influencer on the internet is telling you to quit your job, start a business, and bet on yourself. And I agree that relying on one income stream these days is risky. But what they're not telling you is the context here is that this might be the worst possible time to torch your financial stability. And for most people, it's never the right move. And I'm not here to crush your dreams or to keep you trapped. I am here to give you a realistic roadmap that actually builds wealth, because the data shows something very different from what hustle culture preaches. So today, we're going to be talking about why not everyone should quit their 9-to-5, how to use employment as a wealth building foundation instead of a prison, and how to invest in skills and what you can do that can provide returns that are better than what Wall Street offers you. So let's actually start with where we are. So not where Instagram tells us where we should be. So the August employment numbers were brutal. Only 22,000 jobs that were added versus the 75,000 expected. The unemployment rate hit 4.3%, and this is the highest since 2021. And I believe this to actually be higher, and I mentioned this in a previous video, but manufacturing jobs fell for the fourth straight month, losing 78,000 positions just this year alone. But here's what is even more concerning. Job mobility has pretty much frozen. So the benefits of job hopping, which used to give workers 50% higher lifetime earnings, have all but disappeared, at least in this last year. People are now practicing job hugging. So they're avoiding promotions, staying in safe roles past those probationary periods to avoid layoffs. Now, you've also got new college graduates that are facing the worst entry-level job market in a decade. For the first time ever, unemployment among young male college graduates equals that of non-graduates. The share of unemployed people entering the job market for the first time is the highest since 1988. And here's the thing about inflation. So it's somewhat elevated as we hear. 2.7%. However, we are miscalculating this. We are actually at around 5%. So if you got a raise this year, like if you even got one and it was less than 5%, then you basically took a pay cut. The economy, it's slowing down and it is still expensive to live. This is not the environment where you want to be starting from zero with no income. Yet everywhere you look, there's someone telling you that working a 9-to-5 means that you're not really living, or that you'll never get rich clocking in and out. This narrative is not just wrong, it is financially irresponsible. The job market isn't just slow, it's fundamentally broken in ways that make entrepreneurship even riskier right now. The dysfunction is everywhere, which you've got the ghost jobs, so postings for positions companies, they'll never gonna fill those, they don't intend to fill them. Applications where the black hole exists, where you apply to hundreds of jobs with pretty much zero responses. Job washing, so companies are posting fake openings to appear like they're actually growing. Then you've got this invisible overtime. So basically people are working more than what their salary is or their hourly, and they're not getting paid for it. And then you've got AI screening out qualified candidates before humans even see those resumes. Then, of course, there's this trendy career trap. So here's a pattern that repeats every decade. So you've got these smart graduates flocking to whatever industry is booming. So oil and gas in the 70s, tech in the 1990s, and finance in the 2000s. Then, of course, you got the big tech in 2010s. By the time everyone catches up and gets qualified for these prestigious roles, the boom is over. And right now, we're actually seeing massive tech layoffs while stable, boring careers are thriving. For the first time ever, as I was mentioning, unemployment among those young male college graduates equals that of non-graduates. And all that advice to just learn to code or go get an MBA, that created an oversupply in previously hot fields, not to mention a ton of student loans. Meanwhile, as a nurse, I have watched healthcare remain recession-proof while tech workers with computer science degrees struggle to find entry-level positions. And here's that survivorship bias problem where you see someone who quit their job and they made it. You're not seeing the family money that subsidized their risk-taking, the connections that gave them opportunities, the credit card debt that they racked up during the figuring it out phase, or the 95% of people who tried the same thing and they pretty much failed. I have been there. I started a business during the Great Recession with 2 young boys and our third on the way. We depended on my wife's income at the time, but it wasn't sustainable long term, and I worked harder than I ever had before. And this wasn't just grit. At times, it felt like next to impossible because I was building something that hadn't even been done before, at least at scale. Most people would have been financially and emotionally just broken. But here's the thing, I do have some advice to make this more sustainable, so let's actually start with a mindset shift. Here's what the quit your job crowd doesn't want you to know. Steady employment is one of the most powerful wealth building tools available. The math that beats most entrepreneurs, and I can attest to this, because I had to play some serious catch up on gains that I was actually missing out on. So like $250 a month invested into a Roth IRA starting at 25 equals 1 million by the age 65, assuming let's say a 9 to 10% annual growth. You start adding in a company who's paying a 401k match on top of the health benefits, and you're looking at some serious wealth accumulation here. And unlike that business income, employment does give you predictable cash flow for consistent investing. There's the benefits that would cost thousands per month to replace, and this is actually one area where businesses, including my own, struggled the most. Plus, professional development paid by someone else. I mean, yes, in a business, you can also do that, and that would be like a tax write-off. But recent studies show that each year of education yields approximately a 10% rise in annual earnings, and that outpaces the stock market. So not that long ago, employees who changed jobs every 2 years earned up to 50% more than those who stayed loyal to one company. But in this current job market, we now have that job hugging, as I mentioned. So employees, they see these dismal job numbers, the ghost jobs, businesses inflating their available positions online to look like they're growing. This has created uncertainty where employees are dealing with being in positions where they're pretty much miserable. They're receiving merit increases less than inflation and likely no upward momentum. So let's actually start to shift that thinking that I was saying. Everyone talks about investing in the S&P 500, including myself, but have you actually heard, and I'm sure you have, the S&ME 500? That is the skills and the me, or the you. So investing directly in yourself and your future endeavors. This might be the highest returning investment that you'll ever make. Studies actually show that professional education and skill development can yield 10 to 35% annual returns. And as we get into these examples, keep in mind that many of these can be just a jumping off point, something that you can continue to build and iterate on. And I have done and continue to do several of these today. So when we talk about tech, and I know there were layoffs, but just kind of using that as an example, the AWS cloud certification. So you're looking at about $2,300 total for the exam and the training, but that can lead to an initial $25,000 to $40,000 salary increase just in that first year, which advanced positions are $155,000 plus up to $200,000. That return on investment can be massive in the first year for career switchers. And here's the thing, if you're in the trade, so let's take away tech because there's been layoffs. If you're in the trades, is there a certification? Is there a skill that you can build on? Can you get better so that you can accelerate your income? Now, sales training has the highest ROI in almost any industry. Digital marketing expertise, project management credentials, these all have concrete returns. Start small and just stack. Pick one skill to start with. You master it, and then you see that income increase, then you reinvest those gains into the next skill. But here's actually where I focus most of my energy now, and that is building my network through industry conferences, professional associations, and mastermind groups. Now, LinkedIn optimization, here's the thing. There's a lot of noise over there, but there are professionals that are punching through it. There's industry writing, content creation, and speaking at events. And I know public speaking is not for everyone. I did speaking. It was really fun. I loved it so much and met so many great people. Then, of course, there are the side revenue streams. So consulting in your area of expertise, freelance work, and those high demand skills. If you're doing it for your employer, is it something that you could also do on the side? And I personally do quite a few tech consultations. So some of it has to do with like reviews. So I do some reviews for tech companies and post those, but I also consult for like individuals or businesses, helping them establish certain pieces of tech in their industry and also helping them with that scale. So this is based on years of experience in this space. You could find an area where you're able to offer consumers or businesses helpful insights on making certain investments with products or services. So here we are. We're starting to invest and think about $300 a month in skills, networking, and side hustles. The S&ME allocation could 10x your earning potential. And you might be saying, I don't even have $300 extra a month to invest in myself, but that's missing the point of really looking at your situation and making small adjustments to make this happen. Otherwise, you're just going to keep doom scrolling through people filming in their cars talking about how bad it is out there. And yes, I recognize that it is, but you're here. You are here because you want something different. And since we're actually here talking about the side hustle, I do need to address the content creation. Starting a YouTube channel or building a social media presence for income. I have a channel that saved my family during the pandemic, especially when there were so many eyeballs on consumption. In my main business at the time, we had to pause services. We didn't take any PPP loans. We just buckled down until we found a way out. Now, this channel that I had been slowly building this out for years, and it became crucial to basically sustaining a living. Even though I was able to make a full-time income at that time from this endeavor, everything that you see online about easy passive income from content creation, It's complete nonsense. It's one of the easiest to start, yes, and is also one of the most difficult to scale. My path was different though, because I had already had a channel. But if you're starting from scratch, let's kind of give you some context here. If you're looking at it, month 1 through 6 is likely going to be $0 in income working nights and weekends while you're employed. And if you make it that far without burning out, month 7 to let's say 12 to even 18 months, that might be like $0 to $50 a month. And you're questioning your sanity pretty much regularly. Then month 19 to 24, now maybe you're starting to get $100 to $500 a month. And you still can't quit your day job though, but you might have extra income for building an emergency fund or whatever it is that you need as a cushion or even just some spending money. Because what's brutal here is that the algorithm dependency means that your income can disappear overnight. I have seen creators lose 80% of their revenue when the platform basically just changes policies. The mental health toll of putting yourself online for daily criticism can be psychologically exhausting. The comment section can destroy your confidence, and you're constantly performing for strangers. Now, of course, this fits me because I was an only child who had conversations with myself. So talking to a camera, it's pretty much easy for me. And aspects of my life have been so brutal, pretty much like any armchair expert or quarterback and keyboard warriors, they do not faze me. And in fact, I actually invite them to come comment in the comment section. But that inconsistent income, it is so difficult. One month you might make $5,000, the next could be like $1,500. Try budgeting with that volatility. Having employment income during that building phase, that was definitely critical for me. But for every 10-minute video, there's probably 20 to 40 hours of research, scripting, filming, editing, and promotion, probably even more. So that 4-hour work week, that promise, I think, is a lie when it comes to this. Content creation can be incredibly rewarding and profitable, but it is not the easy money escape that social media makes it seem. It's still work. It's just a different type of work with different challenges. I had an easier time starting other businesses where you actually know your client and you can serve them directly rather than depending on algorithm wins to start blowing in your direction. But instead of the all or nothing approach, here's how to build real wealth and freedom. So stage 1, stabilization here. Do not quit yet. Build that 6-month emergency fund, and that is just a non-negotiable. Start maximizing your 401k company match and eliminate high interest debt and track every expense to understand your real cost of living. You also should figure out what you specifically hate about your situation. So separate I hate my boss from I just hate working for others. Also, you can research salary ranges in your field versus other opportunities, and then start one skill building activity. Spend 5 to 10 hours weekly on a side project with time limits, not income expectations. Test your tolerance for uncertainty and network with people in fields that you are considering. Stage 2 is optimize your current position. So if you're in an industry where you can still job hop strategically for 25 to 50% salary increases, do it safely. Negotiate remote work if you can or flexible conditions. Also, seek out roles that offer transferable skills. And if you're staying put, build expertise that applies across multiple income streams and invest 10 to 15% of income in skill development. Build a professional brand in your area of expertise and start generating, let's say $500 a month to start, maybe even up to $2,000 monthly in side income. Create those systems that can scale without constant time input, and develop like 2 or 3 different revenue streams. So you could focus on skill-based income, consulting, freelancing. Just try to avoid trading time for money side hustles long-term. It's okay to start that way, but figure out ways to automate it. And then stage 3, strategic transition. So if you desire this, only leave employment when replacement income is proven for at least 6 months. Even in business, I tried to achieve this level of runway until we pretty much built out 12 months. Maintain some kind of steady income during transition, whether that's part-time, consulting, a retainer, whatever it is. But for sure, have that 12 months of expenses saved beyond your normal emergency fund. Many people discover that they don't actually want to run a business. They just want better working conditions. They want higher pay, they want more autonomy, and something that's meaningful to them. Sometimes the answer is just finding a better job, not becoming an entrepreneur. And as a nurse, I have watched healthcare remain recession-proof while sexier industries shed those workers. The aging population guarantees demand regardless of economic conditions. And men entering traditionally female-dominated fields experiencing this glass elevator effect, so faster promotions and higher lifetime earnings despite lower starting salaries. The nursing field is so diverse, I mean, there are so many things. We're not just talking about bedside patient care. There are more opportunities than I can go into here, but this profession has helped me get my business off the ground. Even after exiting that business, I pivoted back into employment, and I'm using that career path to build other businesses right now. You wouldn't think that these two paths cross, but that is actually my personal experience. Freedom isn't about escaping work, it's about having options. True financial freedom basically looks like enough savings to weather economic downturns, multiple income streams that don't all depend on your daily presence, and skills valuable across industries and economic cycles. A network that also opens doors for you and the ability to say no to situations that don't even serve you. While everyone else hopes that their 401k grows to 9 to 10% annually, you're investing in skills and networks that could 10x your earning potential. A $5,000 investment in the right certification could lead to a $50,000 bump in annual salary. This is definitely a compounding effect because most successful entrepreneurs, they didn't start with nothing. They built skills, networks, and financial foundations while still employed, then made strategic moves from positions of strength. You don't have to choose between security and success. You can actually build both simultaneously. And the next time someone tells you to quit your job and bet everything on yourself, remember, the smartest investors diversify their portfolios. Your life deserves the same strategic approach. Calculate how much you're currently investing in the S&ME 500, and if it's less than what you're putting into your 401k, you're missing the highest return investment available to you. What is your current stage right now, and what is your next move? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you right back here on your next level up.